Let's hit something, world. This is AJ with tips and tricks. Today we're talking about getting the most out of our drums. I'm not talking about having our drums around in mint condition for years to come. That's a great goal, and maybe I'll talk about it in a later episode, but what I'm talking about today are tones, sound palette, and what I call drum voices. Everyone knows how to elicit the basic sound out of a drum. It's not that complicated.
Hey look, a snare drum! Let's see what it sounds like!
However, there are many more options that will allow us to appropriately and effectively complement the music that we're playing. I can talk about the concepts for a long time, but enough of my gabbing. Let's start playing and dissect what I'm talking about. Our first order of business is the snare drum. We'll cover the different options of sticks like brushes and rods next week. What I do want to go over today are the different regions of the snare. I predominantly work in 3 or 4 regions on the snare, with the snares going from side to side or slightly on an angle like I have them here. Our first region is at the top of the head, usually where we put the logo. With the snares on, I can get a relatively open sound with a nice buzz roll. I also use this spot as my starting marker for pianissimo possibile when working with a wide range of dynamics. You can check out episode 35 for more information on dynamics. The next region is right over the snares, at the edge of the drum. Since my snares go from side to side, I separate my hands just so I'm more comfortable and don't have to worry about my sticks hitting and can concentrate more on the tone. Whether I'm rolling or playing a pattern, this is usually my go-to spot for approximately piano or mezzo piano. Playing over the snares will give us more of a snare sound and better definition of both the snares and our stick hits. That means that our technique has to be on point so our rolls are fluid and even. Unless, of course, we can plan for a staccato roll or pattern. As we bump up the dynamics, read that as intensity, we want to move towards the middle of the drum where the tones are darker and more robust. Dead center is our next region. We can understand dead center is just that, dead. It's usually where we'll find the deepest and darkest sound on the drum. We'll get snare, we'll get sound from the heads, but it's an overall dead tone. Not a whole lot of resonance here. I use this as I creep up the dynamic range into the forte, fortissimo area. Because there isn't a whole lot of resonance per se, this region usually renders itself quite well to clear accents and articulate passages at a higher volume. I usually don't spend too much time dead center because I like a little bit more resonance and character to my snare strike. This brings us to region 4, my main spot, which is just above and to the right of dead center. This allows me to get the meaty characteristics of dead center while also bringing the snares into the picture and a little bit more articulation to my hits, a little bit more crack on the backbeat, a little more bite to my rim shots. Speaking of rim shots, I employ them in 3 regions to elicit 3 very different and distinct sounds. The first is the rock rim shot. I hit the head and the rim at the same time in my usual spots to get a loud, fat crack from the drum. The second is the old Gene Krupa Buddy Rich rim shot, where they only employed the top part of the shoulder and head of the stick very close to the rim to get a very short, high-pitched snap. Finally, I started using a rim shot in what I call no man's land, in between the middle of the drum and the rim, but away from the snares. This gives me an interesting, bright, open rim shot that has a little bit more snare action. Thanks for watching. Next week we'll take a look at different stick choices and bass drum beaters we have available to use. Until then, live right, drum well, and have fun. I'm AJ Nystrom, and I'll see you next week.